Unit 7 begins with an extended blues solo in the key of D, and this time you have to read chord symbols. So you're going to have to make use of those third and seventh voicings that you studied and performed earlier, and do it simply with the reference of the chord symbols. The anticipated left-hand rhythm used in this blues solo is often associated with jazz pianist Red Garland. We then continue with harmonization, and this is merely an extension of your previous harmonization exercise. I think you'll recognize the tune. And then we finish the chapter by exploring an important Brazilian samba rhythm called Partido Alto. Okay, let's jump into Unit 7. We have another blues solo in D, and your first task is to review your thirds and sevenths that you used in Unit 6 for those solos in D. Make sure you can find them now while only looking at chord symbols. Move through them quickly. I've presented it this way. It's a little bit of a game to see if you can remember your chords, and also, more importantly, we're going to make it possible for you to find the chords not just by looking at notation, but by looking at chord symbols. So this is chord symbol reading. Move through them quickly as soon as you can find them. Yep, those are the same ones. All right, what else is going on? Okay, the rhythm of the left hand. The same rhythm that we used in Unit 6 when we did that F blues exercise in 12/8. The rhythm is written differently here, but it should feel like that. In this case, we've written it in 4/4 with swing indicated. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get this going, get your beat going. Don't start from don't start playing from some sort of static, frozen position. Get the dance going. And your first move is downbeats in the right hand. 1, 3, 1, 3, 2. Make that swing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just sort of camping out there on D with the D7 in the left hand. And just, you can very lightly hit the chord. Don't lean into it and put a lot of weight into it. And hopefully the groove will propel you along. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's look at the position of the right hand. We have a couple of choices. I like playing it that way, and if that feels like a lot to reach, remember you can kind of pivot. So you can break it up that way if it's helpful. So don't feel like you have to stretch your hand out. You can keep a small hand, but just make sure you know where that is. And then we have to coordinate everything. So we've got the first measure. I haven't really been consistent about this since I started this video on this lesson. I'd like to do a better job of playing the and of 4 in measure 2. I want to play that short. I've been playing it long sometimes. Why? There's a long note in my right hand. Let's see if I can keep some independence there. So that's something to really check. There's a lot of repetition of this riff. With different chords, but the same rhythm in the left hand. Now when we get to page 2, careful, the right hand rhythm changes a little bit. So my recommendation is to just start over on page 2, get that together. So what's this going to be? Oh my gosh, the right hand has to start on the and of 1. 1, 2, and again, get the beat going. Let's do the right hand first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Woo! Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So your downbeat is going to be on beat 3 in measure 13. I would lay for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And it'll probably feel like you've really have landed on the downbeat of 14. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. So as you look at page 2, it might help to play that chord in the last measure of the first page. It's that lead-in on the and of 4 in measure 12. 2, 3, 4. Now we can also work on this without playing. So if we start at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now I'm just clapping the left hand while I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can sing the right hand part while I clap the left hand part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dot, 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 dee 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 doo, dot, 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 dee 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 doo, dee, ba boom, ba boom, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba boo boo. What's coming into focus is a way of singing both parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, dot, bot, dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, bop, dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot, dot, dot. Dot, do dot, do dot, do dee 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 dot, dot, do dot, do dot, do dee 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 dot, boom, 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 bat, dot, ba dot, ba dee ba dee dum, blue boo doo boo dee you do dot. Ow. Something like that could be really helpful. Well, I think I've blocked out the right hand pretty well, except the last 3 measures. Let's look at that, starting in measure 22. And I'm playing it this way. So I'm not going to slide. Well, I think you could slide, or you could go 2-3. So those 3 fingers, or and then from D to A flat. And notice, you know, those 16th notes are a lot like grace notes, aren't they? Okay, here's the whole thing. Get your groove going. It might be kind of big at first and clumsy, but at least it'll be real, and then it'll find its place. It'll kind of dial down a little bit and get slick. Harmonization. Well, let's see. The first page is a review, and pedaling, of course. Remember, I think when you were working on the chords, it was good to kind of slide over while you were spelling them out. When we work on the next page, I think let's center ourselves on C, middle C. And then back to A flat. Let's see what it would be like if we stayed at A flat. It's really not that bad, and it's just for a little bit of time. Actually, that feels low to me. I'm going to come back to the middle of the piano and see how that feels. I feel like if I were working on the chords, I'm going to suggest I think measures 9 through 12 as you're working on the chords. Maybe get yourself centered at C. And that'll actually work to the end. And then as you are getting comfortable with the chord shapes, practicing, doing all the things we've talked about and I've demonstrated, as it starts to settle in and you can find those chords quickly, come back to the center of the piano, your home position, and play it there. It's really not not a good idea to be sliding around. What you want to do is pick a home position and pivot this way as needed. And of course, good pedaling. And I'm kind of moving in this way. I feel like I can move more slowly that way, and I can play softer. Again, up and down is it's a little bit of an illusion. You're either coming in like this, or we might be. So I tend to exaggerate these things, especially when I'm practicing. Once I get into the groove, I don't think about any of it. But as I'm working slowly, sometimes I just will check this stuff. Up and down playing will tire you out. Staying kind of orbital, you gain momentum, just like you do as if you're like you're snowballing. So more of this. Good pedaling. You know this tune. Okay, we have two versions of the Partido Alto. This is a very popular samba rhythm from Brazil. And the rhythm pattern is only 2 measures long, so the coordination part of it, we can get that together quickly. This is going to be even eighth notes, not swung. The first pattern will be this. Let's make a vamp with the first 2 measures. Make sure you've got this kind of movement going first. You have to know where the quarter note is. On, off, 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 on, off, 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 on, off, 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 off. So there it is. Kind of groovy, huh? Well, let's talk about this. First, study the notes. What's going on here? I see F7. How are we doing that? We've got a 3rd and 7th. And then in measure 4, it's the same notes, but now it's D sharp. Why is that? Oh, it's a B7, 7-3. Notice these things, even write them in. 7-3. Thirds and sevenths are really useful for conveying the harmony in a jazz context. Measure 9, we're going to 3-note chords. This is a D flat 7 with a ninth on it. This is a C7 with a sharp 9, a raised 9. You ever heard something like that? Kind of funky. And then this is a little, and let's block that out this way. And I think it would be a good idea to practice this last measure to the first measure, because this is a great groove. You're going to want to play this over and over and over again. And the more you do, people will start dancing around your house in the neighborhood. This is just happening. All right, what else to do? Well, I think one of the things that I like to do when I'm playing a samba like this is to be conscious of duration in the left-hand part. It's so simple. I can make them all quarter notes. And that's okay. I've written in half notes. Maybe not every half note has to be played to its duration, but it can be a nice effect. So again, I think after you get the coordination together, that's another level of control that you want to gain, so that you can choose to lengthen beat 3 if you want. You also may notice that to play this, notice my arms are at this angle. So while you're learning the notes, see if you can move over. This is just for practice, to kind of take some of the tension out. Maybe center yourself at A flat, your belly button right at A flat. There you go. So while you're learning the notes, that'll be easier. But you should also be able to play it from this position too, because you know, this might be part of what you do, and, you know, at some other point you might want to play up here, you know, maybe play a solo or something. So good to be able to do everything from your home position. Okay, Partido Alto 2. Well, this will make you crazy, because what we've done is we've taken the rhythm from measure 1 and put it in measure 2, and the measure that we have learned in measure 2 is now measure 1. We just flipped them. So now the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, this happens to everybody. It even happens to me when I flip these around. Why have 2 versions? Well, as you listen to samba music, you'll hear why. There's some cool things you can do with these 2 versions of the Partido Alto. It's part of the variety of life. Let's do a vamp on the first 2 measures. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe a good way to sing this one would be off, on, off, 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 on, off, 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 on, off, 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 on. some other points that come up here. We have a couple of moments where chords are anticipated. Take a look at the last chord you play in measure 4. Well, that's the B flat 7 coming up in measure 5. And when we get to measure 7, we're getting to the F7, an eighth note early. The D flat 7 with the ninth comes in a little early, and that's just what sounds right. Now, I put the chord symbols on the downbeat because they're easier to see there. And I think you'll find that various copyists, publishers, composers do about the same. Anyway, two very nice grooves. I think it's pretty common to hear a guitarist using this rhythm. So in both of these examples, we're replicating the sound of a guitar with a bass. So this might be a nice way to build an accompaniment. If you were in a duet situation with a singer or another instrumentalist, and you'd be able to, I think, put out the essential elements of a samba. This is an easy, both of these rhythmic patterns are easy to apply to other progressions. Let's do Partido Alto number 2. And you can sing these rhythms. You can kind of sing both parts. Experiment with that a bit. That was Partido Alto 2, Partido Alto 1. So I'm using bop as the right hand and as the left hand. I know that may seem silly, but you try it. It'll get the groove inside you. It really will. And that's always a good thing.